The morning sun cast long shadows across the cobblestones of Salem, Massachusetts, as Dr. Eleanor Harmon arrived at the antiquarian bookshop she had inherited from her grandmother. The year was 1692, yet Eleanor lived in a world suspended between centuries, where time seemed to fold upon itself like the pages of an ancient manuscript. She possessed knowledge that belonged to no single era, drawn from sources that transcended the boundaries of what most considered possible. The shop stood at the corner of Chestnut and Federal Streets, its weathered sign reading, "Mysteries of the Ages." But Eleanor knew it was more than a repository of books. It was a sanctuary for those who sought answers beyond the veil of ordinary perception. As she unlocked the heavy oak door, a peculiar chill ran through her fingers. Today felt different. The air itself seemed to hum with anticipation, as if the universe were holding its breath. Elena stepped inside, her footsteps echoing in the silence that filled the space like incense. There are mirrors that reflect not flesh, but the essence of who we truly are, she whispered to herself, reciting words her grandmother had spoken countless times. And today I fear I am meant to find one. The interior of the shop stretched deeper than its exterior suggested, filled with towering shelves that disappeared into shadows above. Books in languages both familiar and forgotten lined every surface, their leather bindings worn smooth by countless searching hands. But Elena's attention was drawn to something new, something that had not been there the evening before. In the center of the shop stood an ornate mirror, its silver surface reflecting nothing at all. The frame was carved from what appeared to be black obsidian, inlaid with symbols that seemed to shift and dance when viewed peripherally. Ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs intertwined with Celtic knots, while Sanskrit characters merged seamlessly with alchemical signs. "Impossible," Elena breathed, approaching the mysterious object with both reverence and caution. This was not here yesterday. As she drew closer, she noticed an envelope propped against the mirror's base. Her name was written upon it in handwriting she recognized as her grandmother's, though Margaretha Harmon had been dead for 3 years. With trembling fingers, Elena opened the letter. "My dearest Elena," the letter began, "if you are reading this, then the mirror has finally revealed itself to you, as I knew it would. This glass is not of this world nor of this time. It is the mirror between worlds, and it has been waiting for you to be ready to face what lies beyond its surface." Elena's heart raced as she continued reading. "This mirror does not show the body, my child, but the soul forgotten. It reveals the truth of who you are, beyond this single lifetime, beyond this single existence. But I warn you, none who gaze into its depths return unchanged. The knowledge it offers comes at a price that each must decide for themselves whether to pay." The letter concluded with instructions that seemed both simple and terrifying. "Stand before the mirror at the moment when day becomes night. Speak your true name, not the one given to you in this life, but the one written in the stars before your soul first took form. Then look and see what you were meant to remember." Elena folded the letter carefully, her mind reeling with questions. How could her grandmother have known she would find this mirror today? And what did she mean by her true name? Yet deep within her heart, she felt a stirring of recognition, as if some part of her had always been waiting for this moment. The day passed slowly, each hour stretching like an eternity. Elena found herself unable to concentrate on anything other than the mirror, which remained stubbornly empty, reflecting nothing but darkness. Customers came and went, but she barely noticed them, her attention constantly drawn back to the mysterious object that had appeared overnight. As evening approached, Eleanor closed the shop early and drew the curtains tight. She lit candles around the mirror, their flames casting dancing shadows on the walls. The symbols on the frame seemed to glow with an inner light, pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. "I have spent my life seeking truth in dusty tomes and ancient texts," she said aloud, her voice echoing in the stillness. "But perhaps the greatest truth has always been within me, waiting to be remembered." The moment of twilight arrived, that sacred threshold between day and night when the veil between worlds grows thin. Elena stood before the mirror, her reflection still absent from its surface. She closed her eyes and reached deep within herself, searching for something she had never known she possessed. And then it came to her, rising from the depths of her being like a forgotten song suddenly remembered. Her true name, not Eleanor Harmon of Salem, but something far older, far more luminous. "Etheria," she whispered, and the mirror began to shimmer like water disturbed by a gentle breeze. If you enjoy these kinds of stories, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any of our content. And tell us in the comments where you are watching from. We would love to know. The surface of the mirror rippled and cleared, revealing not Elena's familiar face, but the visage of a woman who seemed to exist outside of time itself. She wore robes of starlight and bore upon her brow a circlet of silver set with a stone that held the light of distant galaxies. Her eyes were ancient beyond measure, filled with the wisdom of countless lifetimes and the sorrow of knowledge too vast for a single heart to bear. "You have remembered," the reflection spoke, though Elena's lips had not moved. "You have awakened to the truth of your eternal nature." Elena gasped, recognizing in this luminous being not a stranger, but her truest self. "Who am I?" she whispered. "What am I?" "You are Etheria, guardian of the sacred flame," the reflection replied. "In lifetime after lifetime, you have walked among humanity, preserving the light of ancient wisdom for those ready to receive it. This shop, this work you do, these books that call to seeking souls, all are manifestations of your eternal purpose." Visions began to flood Elena's mind, memories of lives she had lived in distant times and places. She saw herself as a priestess in Atlantis, teaching the mysteries of consciousness to initiates in crystal temples. She witnessed her role as a guardian of sacred texts in the Library of Alexandria, saving precious knowledge from the flames of ignorance. She remembered her time as a healer in medieval monasteries, preserving herbal wisdom and spiritual practices through the Dark Ages. "But why now?" Elena asked, tears streaming down her face as the magnitude of her purpose became clear. "Why has the mirror revealed itself at this moment?" "Because humanity stands at a crossroads," Etheria replied. "The old world dies, and a new one struggles to be born. The knowledge you have gathered across the ages must now be shared more widely, for the time of secrets is ending. People are ready to remember who they truly are beyond the illusions of flesh and time." Elena felt a profound shift occurring within her, as if veils were being lifted from her perception one by one. She began to see the shop around her with new eyes. Every book pulsed with living light, each tome a repository of wisdom gathered from souls who had walked the path of remembrance before her. The very walls seemed to breathe with the accumulated prayers and aspirations of countless seekers who had found solace within these spaces. "What must I do?" she asked, though part of her already knew the answer. "Continue the work, but with full awareness of its true significance," Etheria replied. "Help others find their own mirrors, their own paths to remembrance. Teach them that they are more than their temporary forms, more than their fleeting thoughts and emotions. Show them the light that burns eternal within every heart." As the vision began to fade, Elena felt herself changed at the deepest level. She understood now that her love of ancient wisdom, her gift for helping others find exactly the right book at the right moment, her ability to sense the spiritual hunger in those who entered her shop, all were expressions of a purpose that transcended any single lifetime. The mirror's surface returned to its original state of reflecting nothing, but Elena no longer needed to see her eternal self to know it was real. She carried that awareness within her now, a flame that would never be extinguished. In the days that followed, Elena noticed profound changes in how she interacted with the world. Visitors to her shop began to stay longer, drawn into conversations that seemed to ignite something deep within them. She found herself speaking words of wisdom that seemed to come from some inexhaustible well of knowledge, offering just the insights each person needed to hear. A young woman struggling with the loss of her mother found comfort in learning about the Egyptian concept of the soul's eternal journey. An elderly man, questioning the meaning of his life, discovered renewed purpose in the Hindu teaching that every experience serves the soul's evolution. Children who accompanied their parents seemed especially drawn to Elena, sensing in her a kindness that transcended ordinary human affection. "We are all guardians of the sacred flame," Elena would tell those who seemed ready to understand. "We are all mirrors, reflecting the light of infinite love. The only question is whether we remember our true nature or remain asleep to it." Months passed, and Elena's shop became known throughout New England as a place where miracles of understanding occurred. People traveled great distances to consult with the woman who seemed to possess an uncanny ability to see into their hearts and offer exactly the guidance they needed. Yet, Elena never claimed special powers or sought to establish herself as a teacher. She simply shared what arose naturally from the wellspring of remembrance that had been awakened within her. One autumn evening, as golden leaves danced past the shop windows, Eleanor received another visitor who would change everything. A young man named Thomas entered, his face marked by the deep lines of one who had suffered greatly. He moved with the careful steps of someone who had lost faith in life's essential goodness. "I'm looking for answers," he said simply, his voice barely above a whisper. "I've lost everything that mattered to me, my wife, my children, taken by fever. I can find no meaning in such suffering." Eleanor felt her heart open with compassion for this broken soul. She guided him to a comfortable chair near the mirror, which had remained in the center of the shop, serving as a focal point for the transformative conversations that occurred there. "Tell me about your dreams," she said gently, intuiting that his sleeping mind held keys to his healing. Thomas looked surprised by the question. "I dream of a great library," he said slowly, "ancient and vast, filled with scrolls and books I cannot read. And there is a woman there, a scholar, who seems to know me though we have never met. She tells me that what appears as ending is merely transformation, that love transcends all temporary forms." Elena smiled, recognizing the hand of providence in this meeting. "That woman in your dream," she said softly, "what does she look like?" As Thomas described the figure from his dreams, Elena realized he was describing Etheria, her eternal self. Somehow his soul had been calling out in its grief, and her higher nature had answered, offering comfort through the realm of sleep. "Thomas," she said, her voice filled with gentle authority, "you are being called to remember something profound. Your love for your family has not died with their bodies. Love is the one force in the universe that death cannot touch. Your wife and children continue to exist in dimensions beyond physical sight, and your love for them serves as a bridge between worlds." Over the following weeks, Elena worked with Thomas, helping him understand that his profound grief was actually a testament to the depth of his capacity for love. She shared teachings from various traditions about the soul's journey after death, the continuity of consciousness, and the ways in which love transcends all boundaries of time and space. Gradually, Thomas began to heal, not by forgetting his loss, but by remembering the truth of what love really is, an eternal force that connects all beings across all dimensions of existence. His dreams began to change. Instead of the painful reliving of final moments with his family, he began to experience visitations of profound peace, sensing their presence and blessing from realms of light beyond earthly comprehension. "I understand now," Thomas told Elena one December morning as snow fell softly outside the shop windows. "My role is not to join them yet, but to carry forward the love we shared, to let it shine through me, to help others who are walking through their own valleys of darkness." Elena nodded, recognizing in Thomas the emergence of another guardian of the sacred flame. "We are all being called to remember," she said, "each in our own time, in our own way. The mirror between worlds exists not only in this shop, but in every heart that is willing to look beyond the surface of things." As winter deepened, Eleanor began to have vivid dreams of her own. She saw herself standing before a great council of beings of light, souls who had completed their earthly journeys and now served as guides for those still walking the path of incarnation. Among them, she recognized her grandmother Margaretha, radiant and smiling. "You have done well, my dear one," Margarita said in the dream. "The mirror has awakened what was always within you, but now comes the next phase of your purpose. It is time to teach others to find their own mirrors, to help them remember their own eternal names." Eleanor awoke from these dreams with a sense of clarity and purpose that filled her with joyous energy. She understood that her work was expanding beyond the confines of her shop. She began to write, setting down the wisdom that flowed through her in articles and letters that found their way to seekers throughout the colonies and beyond. Her writings spoke of the fundamental unity underlying all existence, the truth that every soul is an eternal spark of divine consciousness, temporarily experiencing itself as separate. She wrote of love as the organizing principle of the universe, of death as transformation rather than ending, of the sacred purpose that brings each soul to earth lifetime after lifetime. These writings began to circulate among networks of spiritually minded individuals, finding their way into the hands of those who hungered for truth beyond the dogmatic teachings of established religion. Elena never signed her name to these works, knowing that truth stands on its own merit, regardless of its apparent source. One spring morning, Elena arrived at her shop to find another letter waiting by the mirror, written in the same familiar hand as before. This time, however, she understood that the letter came not from her deceased grandmother in any ordinary sense, but from the realm of eternal wisdom that connected all awakened souls across time and space. "The mirror has served its purpose," the letter read. "You have remembered who you are and embraced your eternal role. Now it is time for the mirror to find another who is ready to face the truth of their infinite nature. Trust that it will appear to the next seeker at precisely the moment they are prepared to receive its revelation." That evening, Eleanor stood before the mirror between worlds one final time. As she gazed into its depths, she saw not her reflection, but a vast web of light connecting every living being, every soul that had ever existed or would exist. She understood that this web was love itself, the fundamental fabric of reality, expressing itself through countless individual experiences while remaining eternally one. "Thank you," she whispered to the mirror, to her grandmother, to the council of light that guided all souls home to their true nature. "I understand now that every moment of my life, every book I have shared, every conversation that has healed a heart, all of it has been the mirror reflecting love back to itself." The next morning, the mirror was gone. In its place stood a simple wooden table bearing a single white rose and a note that read, "For Thomas, who has eyes to see." Elena smiled, knowing that her friend would find exactly what he needed when he arrived for his weekly visit. The mirror would appear to him at the perfect moment, just as it had appeared to her when she was ready to remember the truth of her eternal nature. Years passed, and Elena's shop became a legend throughout New England, a place where seekers found not only books, but transformation itself. Thomas indeed found his own mirror, not the same obsidian-framed glass that had awakened Elena, but a pool of still water that appeared in the shop's back garden, reflecting the stars even during daylight hours. Through this celestial mirror, Thomas remembered his own eternal purpose as a healer of grief, one who could help others transform their deepest losses into gateways to spiritual awakening. Together, Elena and Thomas created a sanctuary where souls could remember their divine nature and embrace their sacred purposes. The work continues to this day, though Elena and Thomas long ago completed their earthly roles and returned to the realm of light, from which all guardians of the sacred flame emerge. The shop still stands, tended now by others who have gazed into their own mirrors between worlds and remembered the truth of who they are. For the mirror between worlds is not a single object, but a principle that manifests whenever a soul is ready to see beyond the illusions of separation and time. It appears as whatever each seeker needs in order to remember their eternal nature, whether as an ornate glass, a still pool, the eyes of a beloved friend, or the depths of their own awakened heart. And so the ancient promise continues to unfold, that none shall remain forever asleep to their divine nature, that love will always find a way to call its children home, and that in every moment of genuine seeking, the mirror between worlds shimmers into visibility, ready to reflect the truth that we are and have always been, infinitely more than we have dared to remember. And if you like this story, you will definitely love the next one that's appearing on your screen. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, leave your like, and activate the notifications. See you in the next one.